everybody. Welcome to the third episode of Spiritual Spiral. If you guys have tuned in to the first two episodes, thank you so much. If you haven't, you can find them now on iTunes Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, IGTV, our Instagram. We are everywhere. This is a show where we dig deep into what is currently going on in our world, but on a spiritual level. We ask the questions that maybe a lot of people are thinking, but they're too afraid to ask. They don't know who to ask. And so every week we interview a different expert in the spiritual field. And it's me, Sam Davidson. I am a journalist in Los Angeles, and I am joined by my fellow co-host and journalist and good friend, Siri Cohen. Siri, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Now that I've got the two of you here, my day just got a lot better.
And our special guest this week is someone that really means a lot to me. He's been a friend, a mentor, and is just a really fantastic psychic and medium. And he's a straight shooter, Chris Medina. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, my love, for having me on. What an honor.
Oh, I know. I was like, do you want to do it? Do you want to come? And you said yes quickly. And I was
like, yeah, for sure.
So Chris, tell me, and those watching, because I know you and Sam are really close. So just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I'm a normal everyday person. I'm a psychic medium. I do psychic readings now as a profession. I grew up a psychic, was, I would say, born this way. So, but I led a pretty normal life up until the last 5 years. And then started to go down this path here. It's something that I've known that I was going to be doing for a long time. When I was going to do it was not sure. And then about the end of 2014, everything kind of came into fruition and forced me to go into this direction. So I've been doing it since 2014, and it's providing psychic readings, medium readings, but not just on a psychic level, on a wishful thinking or a futuristic type reading or a lot of past life. It's focusing on the stuff that's blocking you now, the stuff that you're suppressing or that you're not able to fully grasp. Or does that make sense?
Yeah.
And working through that and bringing everybody up to speed, and then we'll get to all the good stuff. Then we'll get to all the futuristic hits. But let's start with what first things first, which is unblocking and clearing some of that energy. Yeah.
I feel like you must be getting a lot of that now, especially at this point in time from people.
Yes, I just did a podcast with somebody else right before this one, and she had asked me, what's business like for you? Are you slow? And I was like, absolutely not. It's grown at least by 30%.
Gosh. So can I ask, what is the most common question that you're hearing from people now?
When is this going to be over? Or is this, how much longer is this going to be? Is this X, Y, and Z, and things like that? And then you also have people that are questioning, what else are you going to do during this time other than do you? You know what I'm saying? Like, have the downtime to really reflect and think about where you're at now at this time in your life here. So I get a lot of people saying, for whatever reason, I'm having these really weird dreams, and or I feel like my intuition is telling me something. So a lot of people are waking up because they're forced to sit there and think and do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of like, where am I at? And what I'm feeling, is this real? Is this, or am I going crazy? So doing a lot of that, and then also again, the healing work where again, believe it or not, I mentioned this too on another episode where you would not believe how many crazies are out there right now, scaring people. And wow. Provoking fear into them and telling them that it's karma now. It's Mother Nature's way of showing us that she's upset, and it's really bad karma on everybody. So there's going to be I can read right through you, and I can see that you're not going to ascend the way that you should be here. So there's some sort of block, and what they're doing is they're telling people that they'll pay them, anywhere from I've heard anywhere from $500 to almost $5,000 to do a spell or some ritualistic stuff to get you to ascend. So I'm having to get those people, and really, again, this is more like psychology. This is more like common sense type of thing, and I'm telling them, let's be realistic here. If this was really real and they have the power to get you to ascend to heaven, why are they doing this on such a one-by-one type of scale here? Like, you've got to really see through this. So it's a lot of that right now.
And something that I've asked almost every person that has been on, and I'm interested by each person's answer, is, did you feel or see this coming? What were your feelings a couple months ago in your gut? What were you seeing? And, you know, I know that you are such a straight shooter and so honest, but was there anything that, you know, you didn't want to instill fear in people, but you did see something coming?
Absolutely, 100%. And I know every psychic is saying that right now. But if you you keep saying I'm a very straight shooter, I'm very direct, and I'm very I come with what I say. And a lot of what I used to say before, when I first started doing this as a profession, and I was bouncing around from podcast to podcast trying to find where I fit in with the whole, you know, conspiracy theories, the alien stuff, the spiritual, the metaphysical stuff, I started to open my mouth on things that were out of my realm, if you will, like getting into politics, getting into conspiracies and government type of stuff, to where I had people threaten me. So I vowed never to go down that route again. And if I was going to do it in a way where it's staying in my lane still. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I saw this coming. I'd been warned about this before. But what do you do? What there's nothing, as much as we want to, you know, we say we're here to help here, there's nothing really I could do to save it or prevent it or stop it. The only thing I could do is be here while we're going through this.
Yeah.
Gosh. So what do you think is happening, and when do you see it ending?
I think what's going on here is a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And again, I don't want to get too conspiracy theorist or anything, you know, get too far down the rabbit hole of, you know, the government, things that are going on there, Illuminati, if you will. But there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that they're getting ready, they're restructuring, they're preparing here. And if you stop and look at it, they're already conditioning. I mean, I'm going to probably say too much, but they're already conditioning us in a way to get us to get us to follow this type of structure here. And I think this was really, I'm going to go in there and just say kind of like a little bit of a mini test here to see how cooperative we're going to be. And I honestly think that they had no idea that we were going to be this cooperative here. I'm going to say that this is going to start to loosen up. I was predicting before April 4th. That date kept coming to me over and over again. And I was hoping that there was going to be some sort of change there. Nothing new came in other than they were announcing, you know, they're going to keep this going a little bit longer. But I have a feeling this is going to play out all the way probably into July.
Wow.
And that's not to say that we're going to be stuck in the house here, but I don't think anything's going to really fully go back to normal. I think we're going to get a little bit more of a leeway by July. I'm picking up July 23rd, but again, don't quote me on that. A lot of stuff can happen in between this time here. And again, when psychics do this stuff here and predict certain things like this, not making excuses, but it gives them something else to look into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a human being with emotions and anxiety yourself, having this kind of look behind the curtain that a lot of us can be thinking about and, you know, conjecturing, but we don't know. But, you know, you do have these abilities. So how has that affected, you know, your mental health, your anxiety, having this information that everyone doesn't?
It hasn't been good at all. I don't sleep. It's been a lot worse. I was attributing this to age. I was telling people, God, when you get to be my age, you start to sleep different. You know, you start to get uncomfortable in ways that you weren't before. And I was like, you know, but it's not just that. It's the energy, it's the vibe. So I'm it's not so much distracting myself, but I'm doing a lot of readings. I'm taking a lot of phone sessions, if you will. Skype sessions, people that are out of the country. I'm doing a lot of that, and I'm also doing a lot of writing and also going within and really taking the time to rid my energy of anybody else's energy. This would be readings. It would be the outside collective world, all the energy that I'm picking up out there, and really doing a number on reminding myself, this is what's going on here. There's nothing you can do. Handle what's within your control, and just keep going. You have to keep telling yourself that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of given us, we're all on a little bit of a personal journey. I mean, collectively we're all going through this together, but I feel like everybody has some personal work to do.
Yeah.
Do you think that's an accident, or
No.
is this what's happening on like a big level but individually?
Like as a collective, but as personal as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I when I get my readings, there's always a common theme every week, and it's not. It's something that I notice that my guides put in front of me as a lesson for me to learn as well. So, they always say you have perfect vision 2020. I think this is a year of clarity for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to start, and I've been posting a lot of indirect stuff when it comes to, this type of energy or political type stuff, telling people, get ready, get yourself ready, start to prepare here, go within, take the time to find out who you are. And a lot of people, and I'm going to feed off of what you said, this is the perfect time to utilize, to go within and come to terms with certain things, rid yourself of anything that no longer serves you or has a purpose in your life. Maybe you're holding on to stuff that maybe you don't even realize. This is a perfect time to sit there and reflect on it. But as a collective here, to answer your question, I do not think a lot of people are in that, especially the younger generation, are in that headspace right now, because we're all coming up together. So a lot of people you'll start to see will fall off. They'll start to go through depression or anxiety because they need, in order for them to thrive, they need to have that human connection here. So a lot of people are being forced to go within, if you will, but not a lot of people are taking that time. They're finding ways to distract themselves. They're getting on medication. They're figuring out different, and again, I have nothing against it here. My whole thing with this is you're still an individual here. Do you first, and then get to all the good stuff. Celebrate afterward here. But they're not doing that. They're distracting themselves again with Zoom conferences or bringing everybody else together here and not utilizing the time wisely. Again, that's my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I have felt something different in the past week or so. I won't get into it, but this past week for me personally was not great. It was really hard. The shit kind of hit the fan in a lot of ways. But I was having a conversation with my mom, who has been having a lot of anxiety over this, obviously. She feels like she's living in Groundhog's Day, just like the rest of us. But instead of waking up in a panic like she has been the past 6 weeks, the past week and a half for both of us, we kind of just wake up and we're like, okay, whatever. Like, we don't feel that impending doom as much anymore. And I don't know if that's because we're doing the work on ourselves and being patient and evolving. But do you think there is some kind of shift happening, that some people, the panic is settling a little bit and just it is what it is?
People are starting to feel the it's not the relaxed phase here, but kind of like we've gotten used to this way of living, so they've learned how to adjust to this type of to what we're going through here. Again, I don't want to take anyone's hope away when it comes to doing work on themselves and telling them, you need to work harder here. But again, this is with everybody, there's a lot of contradicting comments out there when you talk about Mother Earth being upset. Mother Earth's upset because all the plastic that's in the ocean here, animals are dying from what we're doing here. And they're finding things that we can do, that we can build together here, and deflecting the attention from what matters the most. And again, I know this sounds maybe a little self-centered here, but nothing matters more than you. You know what I'm saying? So taking this time to really do, like you said, do the work on yourself, and it's not so much finding yourself. It's how do I sound corny? It's evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do people do that? I mean, like you were saying, collectively we seem to be distracting ourselves, and that's like instinctual. Is like we immediately go into, how do we deal with this new way of living with what we're working with? But apart from that, how do we, like you were saying, turn the attention inwards? What tools can we use to really get that work done during this time?
You have to. The biggest thing here is it can't be forced. This has to be something that you're going to want to start as a process here, because this is something that it's going to take. We've been living our lives. A good majority of us have been living our lives the same way. We get up the same way, we go about the same things here. Nothing really changes here until something comes dead in our face and stops us. That forces that change to come in here. So first things first is wanting to take the time to go within and discover that person here and do the work. Because if not, what you're going to end up doing, what people fail to realize here is, as soon as the going gets tough, we're talking about the subconscious. We're talking about things that maybe some of us had rough childhoods. We didn't have the best parents in the world here. We feel like we've done a lot of this growing on our own here and only depending on ourselves, and not realizing, Jesus Christ, we've made it this far. We've got all the way up until this point here. When can I stop and take a real good look at where I'm at here and look back at how far I've come? Where am I going now? Where am I headed? And a lot of people aren't. When the going gets tough, like when the going gets tough, that's where people are like, this is too hard. I didn't think I was going to have to deal with this, and then they stop. It's too much. And this goes with relationships too. And I know several people that are guilty of it. And I'm talking about people that are in the industry that are relationship experts, or in that field, or in the matchmaking type of thing here, that are struggling with their own relationships.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, a lot of us are going, and this is where I tell people, this is the mirror time right now. We're all being forced to take a real good look at ourselves. And some of us are too ashamed or too worried to really want to take the time to look at ourselves here. But don't realize it, again, once you go through the process and you come to terms with what is no longer needed, or maybe you didn't realize that it was going to be easier than you thought it was going to be here. And really, I don't want to sound cliche, but just, really having the determination and drive and or ambition to take the time to evolve. I don't,
Yeah. And, also the whole idea of letting go of control is something that is so hard for so many people, myself included, that, you do what you have to do, you do the work, but at the end of the day, it's not really up to you. What happens in a lot of ways. You can control certain things, and then there's certain things you can't control, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, but you have to believe it. A lot of what I've been doing readings on here, and I was telling Sarah that it's a common theme on a weekly basis here. We have really, and my good majority of my clients are women. I wish I had more men here. It's slowly building, but women come to me more often than men do. And I'm seeing a thread here of really, really powerful women. I'm talking about women that are lawyers. I have clients that are in the government, have really high positions here, really super smart, intelligent, have everything going good materially on paper and everything. But get nervous as hell when it comes time to deal with their emotions or what's going on inside of them. They know that they have to have a positive attitude. They know that they have to be strong, they have to be upbeat here. Those are all great words to live by, but if you're not incorporating that, if you're not feeling what you're saying, all it is words. In order for there to be change, there has to be a change in you that reflects outwardly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is all about, again, like I said, what my issue with love and light, and I think I told you this, Sam, too. I get a lot of shit for saying I'm not part of the love and light community. I have nothing against it. I love the idea of community and helping our fellow neighbor out and doing all that good stuff here. What I don't like is the wishful thinking. I don't like if you tell somebody, someone's having a bad day here, and they go to tell you what's going on with them, and you pacify them, or you put a band-aid on it. You don't really have the banter going back and forth and asking the person, well, what was your responsibility in this, so they learn and grow from it. A lot of what we see now with the love and light community, and I had a beef with this on my podcast too, is a lot of people making excuses. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be the victim. And I'm not victim shaming. But at some point in your life, as long as you're living and breathing and you're walking, there should be no excuse as to why you can't evolve your way of thinking or your situation. Does that make sense? So that's my thing here, is where I practice what I preach, and when I give you a reading, it may not be what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. And let's work through that stuff first, or else it's just, again, wishful thinking. That's my opinion. I hope that didn't sound too hard.
No, not at all. I actually agree with every single thing you just said. I've been a big believer in that. You can blame your circumstances only so much, and then when you actually acknowledge it, when you understand it and accept it from that point on, it's your responsibility what you do with that knowledge from that point forward.
Yeah.
And I agree with you also. I think it is where you put your energy is where you're going to thrive. It's not just about wishful thinking and saying, you actually have to do the work.
Yeah, and to tie it back to those women, and again, this is not to say that people that are not in high positions don't have it in them to make it, but I always reflect the attention back to the client and say, let me ask you something, lawyer, doctor, psychologist. How many years of dedication of school did you have to go through to obtain that degree here? You put the hard work and effort in there. You were determined to succeed, and you succeeded. Can you imagine if you directed that much attention into your personal life, how far you would go? And they never. The biggest thing is, I never thought of it that way. Well, maybe you should.
Yeah. That's the scary part, is now looking inwards. I think that's kind of all we're left with, is this is that right now we're being forced to really look at ourselves apart from what we do or who we know.
You got to look at birth as much as we have our family in there when we're giving birth, or even at a funeral, families are gathered around here. We come in on our own and we leave on our own. So your process for your evolution or your change doesn't need to be made an announcement, or it needs to be something to where it's all eyes on me and people are, you know what I'm saying? It should be a personal process here, something that really allows you the opportunity to deal with what's going on. And 9 out of 10 times here, and I'm not glazing over it, people make a bigger deal out of it than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And again, how does that say that is that to say that you're not allowing yourself the opportunity to fully trust yourself or let go after you've gotten this far, after you've proven to yourself and everybody else how far you can go here?
Yeah.
Stop giving yourself excuses. Go do it. Take care of it.
Mm-hmm. And something I haven't really asked many people yet, but I found so fascinating, is Sylvia Browne, one of the most famous medium psychics in the world, in her book, The End of Days, I think it's called, that she wrote like a long time ago. What was it, the 80s or something, maybe even before then. And she wrote about something that is in the year 2020, that kind of to a T explains, like, as far as an illness that's spreading, what's happening right now. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that she really kind of did anticipate this?
I believe that she had insight. She had the vision for it here. Here's where psychics go wrong. And this is where I've learned to kind of stay in my own lane. I'm going to make a quick example here. William Cooper is a conspiracy theorist that passed away in the early 2000s. I had no idea who he was. This man came to visit me relentlessly for a month, and he was ridiculously drill sergeant like in these visions that he had with me. He made me go get a paper and pen, and then it got to the point where he's like, that's not working because you're lazy. Go get a recorder that you can speak into when you wake up. He gave me all this insight about the things that I was talking about earlier: government, political, the CDC, these man-made diseases. I got to see all this going down here. What psychics do, I don't doubt the vision that she had, but what they do is they want to add a cherry on top of there, and it's not their place to do that. They're seeking validation in some way, shape, or form. She should have just said what she said, dropped it, and left it alone. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like, again, the way that my guides work is, again, you can say certain things, but not anything that's going to. It's not necessarily that are going to make me look bad, but that are also going to cause like the issue that I had with people threatening me, or them making it a point to make you look wrong or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that she had some psychic ability too. I think that she got some insight here. I think that again, just I hope this is not going too far. I'm not trying to take away her character here. I just think that she got caught up in the idea of having to people please.
Interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you, Chris. Everything that you're saying, I'm yeah.
Yeah.
But to kind of, be sunny a little, because it is important, at least mentally, for a lot of people to try to see some kind of light during this time, a light at the end of the tunnel, just because living in complete like darkness and isolation is hard, not knowing what's going to happen. Like, is there any kind of light at the end of the tunnel you see? Is there something that like we can look forward to collectively, like coming together, or things getting better, or do we just kind of have to trust that it's going to be what it's going to be?
Things are going to definitely be different for a little while longer here. Again, I can't give too much insight. It's not a cop out because I can't read it here, but there are going to be changes here. And I want to be able to provide that light at the end of the tunnel. We're all going to be able to celebrate, rejoice, get back to having our normal lives here, where we're seeing our friends, going out, partying, hanging out, doing dinners, and all that great stuff here. But the real change is only going to happen when the people have had enough. And what I mean by that here is that, is that we're they can count that we're going to cooperate to a certain extent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And people don't realize that what they're giving, these little things that they're doing, the things that they're doing, the things that they're taking away from us are right. That's what we're here for. And these things that they're giving back to us, they're looking at it as like little rewards for us here when it was ours the whole time. So until people start to realize where they're at in their position of power, that they actually have more power than they realize, is only when there's going to be that major change. But to kind of give you that light at the end of the tunnel for the time being now, I think we're definitely going to go back to, or not go back, but at least get some of that freedom that we had before here within reason.
Okay.
Well, very, very interesting. Yeah, I feel like we are going to see a new normal after this. I mean, Sam and I were talking about this a little bit. Just being in entertainment was one of the areas, obviously, that was hit really hard. I mean, like so many others. But just the way that we work in general. I mean, it's our job is to be around people in crowds.
But let me tell you, just really fast, I didn't mean to cut you off. But when it comes here, I just want to. This is where I'm going to put a little bit more hope there. We're all in the same categories under the same umbrella. Me, you, Sam, as far as like our connection with the public, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
This is, if done correctly, this can usher in a whole new era for journalists, for writers, for people that want to, like Sam, what Sam is reporting. It's a different mindset, gearing yourself to ask the really important questions here. So again, I think this is only going to be beneficial for, it's beneficial for me right now to be able to help do what I'm doing here. So I just think as a shift goes in here, and we kind of, people are able to read between the lines a little bit better here to see where the dust is going to settle around them, so they know where to move. I think it's going to be beneficial for a lot more people than they realize here. But everybody's scared because it's unknown. It hasn't happened yet. We're still stuck here. But I think this just gives, again, I hope that makes sense where I talk about it gives us a little bit more ammunition to go harder with what we do.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of, visitations, if you feel comfortable talking about it, have you had recently? Have you been visited by people that are trying to cross over that died from the virus? And have you assisted? Because I know that's something that you do too. Assist people in crossing over. What's that been like?
I've been getting a lot of visitors coming. I don't know if it's directly connected to the coronavirus deaths or anything like that, but a lot more energy around me to where people are knowing that I could hear and or feel them. So I feel a lot of tiptoeing around me to get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I haven't been able to sleep. I've been on the entire time. I don't. I'm already a homebody type of person here. So you know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely it's sparked more on the medium side, but not in ways that people think it would. Does that make sense? This is more energy, and also been getting hits. I know this is going to sound crazy too, but a lot of universal hits, worldly hits, things that are going on in the environment, things that are shifting with the energy of the world, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I'm picking up a lot of that. I don't know how to, I don't want to sound hokey, but a lot of earth energy, a lot of the environment. Not necessarily in a bad way here. There's interferences. It's a lot of unusual type of energy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I don't know if you guys have experienced ringing in the ears lately.
I get that a lot in general.
Yeah.
But I can't hear people the way that you do. I'm in some Facebook group and some, about like spiritual people, and some girl posted like, I keep on getting ringing in my ears. What does that mean? Does that mean something? I'm like, well, from my experience, what I've been told is that it kind of means that you're tapping into a different frequency, a higher frequency, and that, there might be someone around you.
Yeah, something's trying to make connection or contact with you. It's almost like going, again, I don't want to sound weird here, but it's almost like going, it's almost dimensional almost. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like when it happens to me, it's like I can hear it, but my mind shifts to seeing something different that I don't know how to say that. Like the vision, when I pick up like, what is that sound? It just seems to be more of an energy type base to me. So I've been getting a lot of that type of energy around me lately. Mm-hmm. And also just really fast, a lot of animal energy too.
Really? Like what?
For whatever reason, I don't want to sound hokey, but the birds outside have been really, really attracted to me. They'll come down, they'll float down, especially the hummingbirds that live in the tree there. They'll actually fly really, really close by me. There was an owl that for 3 nights straight, I've never heard an owl hoot that hard, because we live in the city. how often do you hear it? I mean, you hear it in the movies, but you don't hear it in real life.
Yeah.
And I went outside and there was this huge owl outside, just a lot of that type of, I don't know how to say it other than animal type energy.
Interesting.
Wow.
And, aside from the people that say, Mother Earth is trying to teach us a lesson, this is why this is happening. I mean, I do believe that besides, getting sick and whatever stuff is going on with the government, like spiritually, metaphysically, is there a reason for why this is happening and why it's happening right now?
Your soul, your essence, your presence obviously knows better than your material self. Because again, the way we have two different, I don't want to say two different beings, but it's almost like we have the very spiritual side, our soul, our essence, our presence, everything behind that flesh and blood here. And then we have our material way of thinking, or our everyday type of minds here. So when it comes to, how can I phrase this here? I don't know if people are picking up the message the way that it's intended to be for what's going on right now. Does that make sense? I mean, this is, when I talk about the soul, the essence, the presence here, God, I don't want to overspeak, but I'm going to have to here. This is getting us to wake up, to break the illusion, to break down the barriers. But a lot of us, without those barriers or without those illusions there, reality starts to set in for a lot of people here. So a lot of people are shying away, but the ones that are actually doing the work here, I don't know if this answers your question, but it's very beneficial for them here. So again, like I said, it's a perfect time here. But just like if you want to call it the end of days, the apocalypse, it's a God, I don't want to sound mean here, but it's a weeding out almost.
I mean, that's what I love. One of the things I love about you. So please don't feel afraid to speak. And you called the animals. Here one is my cat just you started talking about animals. Came right.
Yep.
Yeah, I just like I said, there's so much I want to say. I have not recorded a single episode for my podcast in almost 2 months. My guides my guides have really been like, no, not now. And it took me I was going to release an episode, like I said, almost 2 months ago, and I could not get the words out right because there was so much stuff that I was saying that I was like, this is going to backfire. And also too, I've also learned with myself as a psychic medium here, with my expertise, my ability here, my process, like you said, I'm gonna repeat your words. It's very direct. It's very, I don't know any other way to tell you than just to go and do it. So I've been learning during this time here that my process isn't to help you find your process. That's a journey you have to do on your own, because something that you're gonna have to stick by to get you to change your way of thinking. So when it comes to gosh, geez, I lose my train of thought so easily here because I have so many different things I want to say. But going back to the podcast thing, right now, to speak on it and say everything I want to say, people are gonna really throw the arrows at me and be like, "How could you say that right now?" So I have to really wait. I'm gonna just listen to what they say here and let go when they tell me to let go. But right now, I'm just doing my homework. I'm doing my research. I'm doing a lot of writing, getting a lot of material together. But right now is not the time, especially with everybody going through what they're going through here. We have people that are losing people to this virus. What I have to say doesn't need. It's just not right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering, I mean, I think a lot of people, and maybe who don't normally consider themselves to be spiritual, are seeking some kind of spiritual guidance at this point. I think I'm hearing that from a lot of people. They all kind of need some direction. Everybody feels a little bit lost right now. So I'm glad that at least we're tapping into it. I know you say, like, for people to kind of find themselves, to just kind of do it. Are there certain things like meditation, like sitting in silence, like exercise or walking, or is there anything physically or actively that people can do to tune into themselves?
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that. I just mentioned this to somebody earlier today when I did their session. I was like, your form of meditation does not need, it's going to be absolutely impossible for you to sit in a quiet room to meditate because your mind wanders. Your form of meditation would be either cooking or cleaning. I said, or driving around. I said, so when people think of meditation, they're so used to thinking of being in silence and away from stuff. I always tell people, find Here we go. Find a process that works for you, something that's going to keep your attention. Mine is cooking and cleaning. I get a lot of stuff out. I'm really in my zone there. I'm really meditating in some way there, clearing out my head and going within here. So don't overthink the process. Find something that works for you, that, again, that's going to keep your attention, that's going to allow you the opportunity to decompress. Maybe it could be a bubble bath for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be, like I said, cleaning, cooking, going for a run or a jog. There's a lot of fitness people out there, or, or sitting there and just going for a drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to also get your opinion on, the certain industries that you see maybe really struggling to get back on their feet, but also certain industries that are kind of the underdog, that are going to take everybody by surprise, that are going to flourish during and after all of this, that maybe didn't do as well before, like your industry.
As much as I give people a hard time when it comes to evolving and growing here, the one thing I do like about our people, are the human being, our brothers and our sisters here, is our innovative way of thinking. And there's a lot of people, this reshuffling and this reorganization of what's going on, the different energies here. You're finding even celebrities are struggling with their profession, doing what they need to do here. So it's kind of leveling us out here. So it's going to stir the pot a little bit more here. And you're going to see a lot of people come up with more innovative ideas to keep things going. So a lot of jumpstart things, things that are really going to take off here. I really feel like this is the next wave of business ideas. Like in some way, we needed this downtime here to kind of not so much reflect on what we had here, but for things to change the right way. And just one other prediction here: we'll be on the lookout for more things that are futuristic when it comes to electronics. I'm talking more with cars, more with flying, more with computers and how we do things like that. There's new technology that's going to be coming into play here. That's going to be by 2024. It's going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be completely different, but you'll be surprised what a difference from 4 years makes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just watching this TV show the other day that I used to, Pretty Little Liars, which doesn't even seem like it was on that long ago. And I mean, and maybe the episode was from like season 1, and so that was around 2010, and some character goes, "Oh my god, it's not like it's 2020 or something," and I was like, "Oh my god, I am so old." And yes, it is 2020, and I feel very freaked out and spoken to right now, because apparently that's when things are getting crazy.
If you don't mind me kind of going in a little bit on you, and not necessarily giving you a reading, but just giving you some insight.
I was going to go there with you and Sari, and to see, because we like to kind of pick up on what people are best at, and this is one of the things you're best at. So go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to you, love, I know that you've got a very determined soul. You've got you're ferociously independent when it comes to your way of thinking. What your guides, angels, messengers are telling me when it comes to you here is to work. And when I say, I'm going to switch this up, because it's so general to say on the emotional, when people freak out when I say that, but really allowing yourself the opportunity to heal. What I mean by heal here is make sure that those scars are not going to be open again, because a lot of what you do here is you have really, really high days to where you're feeling very optimistic and feeling like in control here, and then little irritations will come in and seep in here and knock you down a couple of pegs here. And I know everybody can say, well, that happens with everybody here, but with you, this process is trying to work itself through you. So allow I'm not saying that you should not be as ambitious as you are with your career, and not go for things here, but really make sure that you're finding the value in the lessons that you're seeing on a daily basis here, and you're incorporating it within. Because again, not to throw shit in your eye or to pick on you, but you're very, very your armor and your exterior is very hard, so it makes it a little bit difficult for things to seep all the way in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, don't be afraid to let go. I told you before when I read you in your place, I don't see anything negative that's going to knock you off or put you in a position to where you lose everything. It's not in your soul, your essence, your presence, or your core. You would never allow that to happen to yourself. Does that make sense? I hope it doesn't sound too hard here.
No, but that's very uplifting to hear, because sometimes I went back, because what you said about me, and one little thing happens and it just kind of, I'm like, blah, blah, and I fall down a few steps when I work so hard to get to step number whatever, and then it's like one little knockdown, I get very discouraged.
That's a test for you. Remember what I said. I want these words to haunt the audience and the people. Every time you can count on this, whatever your religion is, we'll say the devil, we'll say bad energy, we'll say the person below. Every time you're on a process of change, transformation, or growth, I really do believe that good and bad work hand in hand and provide tests here to see if you backslide, to see if you're sticking with your word here, and you have that mental capacity to know what you're doing and how to execute it and know right from wrong here. It's when the distraction gets in your way that, again, like we said earlier, you lose it. Keep moving forward here, because how you react to it makes all the difference in the world. Let it go. It's not that big of a deal here. And are you really going to lose sleep over it? You got to reframe your way of thinking to make it, not saying to be dismissive of it. If it's something that really requires you to lose your shit, go for it. But if it's something that's not a big deal here, look at it as a test here and overcome it by just not giving it any more attention than it deserves. Because it's not going to do it. Is it going to serve you at the end of the day? That's what I always ask myself. And believe me, I'm telling you right now, I struggle with the intention of other people. So a lot of times when I get in a bad mood, it's always because I'm picking up on the intention of the other person. And I have to tell myself, that's not you. You're not in a bad mood. You're not depressed. You're not feeling anxious. That's them. Get rid of that energy. And I have to walk away. So make sure that you're disconnecting on a nightly basis for yourself. It's so important for you, because I don't. This is not to blow smoke up your butt or to kiss your butt here, but I think that you got a pretty good handle on where you want to go and what you want to do here. The next thing is just allowing it to happen here without interfering with it. Just kind of letting itself play out here, and then you could tweak it as you go along the way, but at least allowing the opportunity for the energy to work on its own without you trying to manipulate, and not in a bad way here, manipulating it to go into a different way here. Just let it happen, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've felt. And I was just interested too, because, like I said, I know you, we're friends, and so the audience knows that. And I'd love for you to pick up on anything you see from Sari, who you just met a little under an hour ago via Zoom.
Fantastic. Yeah, can you come on the screen so I can see your face as a whole?
Yeah. Am I really close? I feel really close.
No, because I just saw the smaller picture of you on the side here. I don't really have anything negative to give you for you here. What your test and what's going to be happening with you, again, you tell me if this is, I should have mentioned this a second ago. I always tell my clients or people that I read, feel free to call bullshit at any time. Do not hold back. Do not worry about trying to be polite, not wanting to hurt my feelings. If it doesn't resonate with you or if it sounds off, let me know. When I do hit stuff, just simply confirm yes, but do not give me any additional details. Okay. So when it comes to you here, and again, if it gets too personal, just say, I don't want to go there.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of, your thing is coming into your strength, into your courage. What I mean by that, this is coming into your power. I'm not saying that you've lost your power or that you didn't know this is an evolution of power here. So a lot of what you're thinking about, what you're visualizing, and what's going on in your head is going to be, now is going to be the time to start bringing it into reality. Does that make sense? So all this planning and where you're at here, and again, I don't know your guides, angels, messengers, and tell me if this is off here. There's a little bit of a holdback from you, and I'm not talking about the pandemic and what's going on here, but something that you do for yourself that you're, it's either that you're overthinking the process here and wondering how you're going to be received, that's holding you back here. And your guides are telling you what they're trying to get you to say here. Well, I mean, what they're trying to get you to see here is just to continue to go for it. It's going to be, there would have to, gosh, I keep this would have to be a sensation that you've been feeling intuitively within, to knowing that something needs to change. You're feeling the strength coming in here. So this would be anxiety. This would be kind of feeling like something's coming here. I don't know what here, but if I really thought about it, it doesn't feel bad. It just feels like something different. Does that make sense? That's what I get from you and how you're feeling on the inside here. This is your strength building up, momentum building up to get you to speak on what's coming next, because I think you hold yourself back in a lot of ways when it comes to your profession, as far as what you truly want to do here and what you think others are going to think of it here. Not saying that you're being a total people pleaser here, but your fear and your insecurity is what needs to be lifted right now. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so and feel free, if it sounds too general, let me know here. But again, like I said, my thing when I do readings on air or if it's on a podcast here, I'm always afraid of going too far, that overstepping my boundaries. But again, at the same time, I don't want to generalize.
I welcome that. I do. I like honesty and truth, and I value other people's opinions. I value your opinion.
Really quick, really fast here. Can we touch on the romantic side of you really fast?
Sure, please. Yeah, please.
Are you involved in a relationship right now?
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Okay. When it comes to relationships, this is, again, I'm not trying to generalize here, and I've been seeing this thing here. When it comes to you, are you allowing yourself the opportunity to be cared for? And are you allowing yourself the opportunity to see what they have to offer before you go all the way in and you start taking over things? When I say, I'm not saying you're being a tyrant in the relationship here, but I think that you downplay your needs in a relationship to make it seem like not such a big deal, or to go with the flow type of energy here, because I don't see what you're putting out you're getting back in return here. But that's only because it's not because you're dating shitty guys here, or that could very well may be true here, but you're starting it off on the wrong note here. Does that make sense?
Wow. Can you be more specific with that? Like
That would be kind of, when I say going with the flow here, that would be not wanting to rock the boat, or kind of being a little compromising more than you need to, or overextending yourself in a way that where, again, you're not getting the same back in return. I know you shouldn't say, well, don't do it. I know it shouldn't be that if you do nice things for people, they should do it in return here. But I don't think I think that there's something about you, the insecurity when it comes to a relationship. I'm almost wondering if it's almost like you don't want to feel like you're either taking advantage, and at the same time not wanting to come across as weak.
Hmm.
Does that resonate, or is that off?
Yeah, yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Very
So this
much.
is so you, but again, when is your birthday?
June 29th, I'm a
You're
Cancer.
a Cancer. Do you know what your moon is in?
I don't actually.
June 29th. What year?
1978.
78.
Yeah.
Doesn't she look so young?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
July 20
June 29th.
June 29th, 78.
Hmm.
Take a quick look here. It's going to put your moon at, unless we know the exact birth time, it's going to put your moon at the end degrees of Aries going into Taurus here. And
Okay.
that Cancer sun, and I'm not an astrologer, I don't claim to be here, I know a little bit about it here, but I use a lot of my psychic energy when it comes to it. Your sun is in the moon sign. So you're all about feeling any emotions, and that's what holds you back, is because, and this is where I have an issue with people, and it's not an issue here, but this is the issue most of you guys have here, is that you're so intuitive here that it's become almost a crutch for you guys, to where you don't trust what you're feeling, and it would cause you not to again, not to want to rock the boat there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do
So,
that a lot.
and then if your moon is in Aries and Taurus here, there's that's going to cause a seething within, having a lot of that could lead to resentment here. So going back to at the beginning of your reading here, I'm gonna manipulate with that here. I'm gonna say that a resentful resentful is a horrible color in anybody here, but with you really take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is all about, again, when I said, I am in no way, shape, or form calling you a weak person at all. When I say finding your strength, I'm talking about allowing that old exterior, that old way of thinking here. You're in a different era, for all that shit to burn off, and then we can start flaking it off there. That's what needs to happen to you, and that's coming right around the corner.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know what you have planned, but I know it's horrible to ask this, especially with everything that's going on here. But did you have plans to do anything in July this year?
I was gonna do a June birthday trip, and then I usually go away in July. That's like the 1 month that I actually do a little traveling. But
okay, because July, and this is gonna, again, I don't want to feed off of this here, but July for you is going to be a time of, when I talk about, and I got to be real careful with this. It's going to be a time of clarity. So this might be a time, and again, anything could happen. When I give these readings here, it's always good. And anybody listening could say, well, that's kind of telling them 50-50 this and 50-50 that here, but I have to leave the responsibility in the hands of the person that I'm reading, because a lot of what people do, and I get a lot of relationship readings here, and what they do is I tell them something about a relationship and they won't do anything. They'll sit there and they'll wait for it to come, and they'll be like, the date came and nothing happened. And I was like, well, what were you doing? Well, nothing. The energy is going to be there regardless. You know what I'm saying? So for you, so if you're not where you need to be, that energy with that clarity can come into feeling that resentment, or feeling like, you know what, enough is enough here. But I feel like for you, for whatever reason, I don't want to put it on stone here, but for me, it seems like I see a feather in the water for you. So this is a feather not on still water. It's going down. So something of some sort of since the feather represents karma to me, I would say some sort of karmic release or lesson that's going to be taken in around that time. So if you're already doing that work there, again, not to manipulate you, keep doing what you're doing here, and get out of your own head and out of your own way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
We've had such a great time with you today. Tell us a little bit about, hopefully you'll be starting your podcast soon. I love your podcast. Tell us where we can find that, where people can find you, and more information if they want to book a reading.
Yeah, for sure. My podcast, I'm hoping to record an episode starting next week, but I'm not sure yet, so don't hold me to that. But it's called In Your Head with Chris Medina. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, every major platform. You can book a reading at chrismedina.guide. Sign up for a half an hour session there or an hour-long session. I definitely recommend signing up for the half-hour sessions because I'm completely different when it comes to readings. I don't watch the clock there. So my readings usually go anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, still at that flat rate. And if we need more time, we'll take it from there. But you can sign up for a reading at chrismedina.guide. If you're hesitant or you want to know more about me and see what I do in my everyday life, my social media is at Psychic Chris M for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Sari, where can we find you?
Oh, I'm over at The Savvy Scribbler. TheSavvyScribbler.
And thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Chris. You can find Spiritual Spiral on Instagram at Spiritual Spiral Show. You can find myself, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 on Twitter and Instagram. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, love. Thank you for having me.